Okay, so after a couple of weeks of an on-off relationship with this game, I have warmed up to it a bit more than I had initially. This is in large part due to what I came to expect of the game. The moment that I stopped seeing it as a roguelike in the sense that almost any playstyle was available to me from the start, but rather that I chose my general playstyle from the beginning more akin to a dungeon crawler, then Roundguard became something that I could see myself coming back to. Contrasting this to other games of the genre, you can see a certain level of polish in terms of character design, from the enemies, which all have different modifiers and attributes, to the characters, which have their own distinctive style. Roundguard does a wonderful job of having fully fleshed out bosses that each make them distinct rather than just being bigger versions of the same enemy. The gameplay, as you can see, is a pachinko style game where your character and equipment determine how you interact with your enemies. This can be your basic warrior that likes direct confrontation while minimizing damage when you're below half health, a rogue that is able to redirect their attacks after being launched, a wizard that avoids direct conflict but rather uses spells to clear those in their path, or the druid that is a mix of a couple of things that utilizes broken pots that you've cleared. Beyond the characters, there is the equipment that you will come across. These have different levels and modifiers, and this ultimately means having higher base stats and added bonuses based on certain situations. At some points, you'll come across milestones that will cause you to spin a wheel that will grant you additional traits. Your likelihood of getting better traits is based on the amount of gold that you've acquired up to that point. You obtain gold by hitting pots that surround the level, and at a certain point, you'll acquire a persistent scarab that will grant you a gold modifier. This is an interesting mechanic, but one that doesn't work as well as it could have based off of the fact that it ultimately comes down to luck. So while you can increase the odds, you can do everything right and still come up short in terms of the wheel itself and the utility of the trait that you receive. There are quite a few things that I want you to be aware of before you purchase Roundguard, if you choose to do so. The first is that even as a dungeon crawler, you're not going to have wildly different types of gameplay across different runs unless you switch characters. Between these characters, there's a pretty good amount of diversity, but what you're able to do within each one is incredibly limited. Another thing to note is the trinket system. These are pretty cool features that you can get upon beating a mini-boss. However, some of these are more generalizable than others. For example, you may attain a trinket that is useful towards a specific enemy type, of which there are 3: goblins, skeletons, and spiders. This felt incredibly underwhelming when I would enter a room only to find that none of my trinkets benefited me. The last big thing that I would like to mention is the pachinko style of gameplay. This is less of a navigation issue, as I've already made it clear that I'm not the biggest fan of this with the recent Peglin video. But here, there's punishment for shooting your character. It costs health if you do not land on a pillow that is constantly moving. This was incredibly frustrating, as it basically assumed that I was going to be taking damage with every shot. On occasions where I did land on the pillow, it was a welcome surprise, but more often than not, this was not the case. I understand that this is necessary, as this is how you ultimately lose a round, but I wish that this was done in some other way, like only having the game-ending spikes appear when you are actually dying. Being completely frank, Roundguard is a very good game. There's clearly a lot of effort that went into its development, and the character design completely shines. However, it is also a game that you have to be in the mood for. As I can quickly learn what to expect, there are only 4 characters to choose from, with only a few skills between each one. It knows what it does well and focuses on that, both to its benefit and detriment. At $6.99, it's easily worth it in terms of the experience that you'll get out of it. However, in terms of longevity, that's more of a personal matter and personal preference. If you're willing to go through and complete each difficulty along with modifiers, I cannot even begin to estimate the amount of time that it will take you to complete it. If you're not able to do that, then you'll play it for a while, and after that, it'll probably collect dust until you're ready to give it another whirl. It's available on both the iOS and Google Play Store. If you have any recommendations for me to review, leave it in the comments section below. While you're there, tell me your favorite roguelike or dungeon crawler. Otherwise, stay tuned in to Gaming in the Moment.